Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be talking about the Ambassadors of Death, Part 1. Now, this was sent to me by one of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, which I really appreciate, as it is one I've been wanting to rewatch. One of the things, of course, I had to enjoy with Episode 1 was how good it looks, because Episode 1 is the only story this serial that survives on its original 2-inch master. Matter of fact, it's the earliest surviving videotape of Doctor Who on its original master videotape. All the others are recovered from other sources. I believe telerecordings that have had to have been recolored in various ways. So the rest of the story is not going to look as good. So I had to enjoy how good this one looked. And it does look good. Looking forward to when it comes out on Blu-ray. Episode 1 will look good. It did look really good. The story... Excuse me. The story is pretty good. The opening part drags a little. Like when it's the controller and the astronaut talking, I'm like, wow, I'm 10 seconds in and I'm bored. Because I always joke about how it's the ambassadors of boredom to death. Or the ambassadors of bored to death. Because ambassadors drags at 7 parts. And I'm like 10 seconds in and I'm like, well, if I ever get insomnia, I can just pop this in. It did throw me off the title cutting back in. I forgot it did that. I keep forgetting Season 7 really kind of played with the opening titles a bit and how they did them. So you get that opening little bit, and then it cuts back to the titles with The Ambassadors of Death. And it took me by surprise. Like when it popped back up with the Doctor Who noise, I'm like, oh yeah, it does that. It took me by surprise. The guy playing the controller talks in this kind of monotone voice. But it's exactly what I picture a space controller talking like. Now, I like the actor playing the character. I think he's playing the character well. But he does talk in that kind of monotone voice that I stereotypically think that kind of person in that role would, which I kind of like. I love the scene when the Doctor shows up in the control center. And he's trying to tell them, hey, I need a recording of that message. That whole scene is amazing. I love that. I like that bit when the Doctor's trying to talk to the controller and he looks back at the Brigadier. The man's a fool. It's like the Doctor shows up, knows he's the smartest one in the room, and just expects everyone else to also know he's the smartest one in the room. It's like he's like, don't you know I'm the Doctor? Of course I'm the smartest one in the room. Why are you questioning me? Just listen to what I say and do it. I love the third Doctor. He just knows he's the smartest one in the room, and he's a bit arrogant about it. The third Doctor's a little arrogant. I love that whole bit. I just love the way Pertwee plays this scene. And the controller's, he's looking at the Brigadier like, who is this? Oh, he's one of my most trusted advisors, or whatever he says. Well, take your most trusted advisor and get him out of here. And the Doctor's like, it's not. I need a recording. It's a message. We need to make a reply. And then when he hears the reply, he goes, that was the reply. You know, that the first two were from space, but this was I love the fact the third Doctor is so far ahead of everyone else about what's going on. The fact he knows the noise. He can't quite recall where, but he knows it. He's already on the ball, thinking, clicking. I also love the fact that while everyone else, when the noise happens, they're covering their ears like, the Doctor, you can tell it's still bothersome to him, but not as bothersome. He's like, he doesn't have to hunker down with his ears covered. He just kind of, I like the fact it affects him less. Like it still affects him, but it doesn't hit him as hard. I kind of like that. I don't know if that was a director choice or a John Pertwee choice, but I love it. It's a little subtle detail, but I love it. The fact that it doesn't hit him as hard, where he has to flinch as hard from it. I do love that a lot. I'm enjoying Carol and John in this. I love Liz. I absolutely love Liz. Carolyn just has this mesmerizing smile, but I just like Liz as a character a lot too. But I do love that scene though when the third Doctor shows up in the spaceport. That scene was gold. That was my favorite part of the episode. That's probably going to be one of my favorite parts of the story. I love that part. The scene when the Brigadier is fighting in the warehouse. One, I love the fact that shot on film. It looks really good. I tend to love when location work is shot on film. Having just recently watched and reviewed Delta and the Bannerman, I was commenting in those reviews how odd it looks having the location work shot outside. I had the same problem with Battlefield. For some reason, there's just something off about it. It bothers me less in stories from the 70s, too, where they did that, like, Satarn Experiment, Stones of Blood Robot. Those bothered me less, whereas some of the McCoy stories, the location shooting on videotape feels and looks weird. I love the way this looks on film. The actual fight scene is, like, some of the shots look really good, especially when the Brigadier's kind of in a confrontation with the kind of lead thug at the end. Some of the camera work on the Brigadier's face and his face when they're going back and forth is really good. But sometimes it's just a little odd and awkward. It seems odd. It's like they shot the scene and then edited it together in random order sometime. Like, didn't that guy just get shot? Now he's throwing some... It's a little wonky and weird. Like, there are parts of it I like, parts of it I don't. It's like I can like it and not like it at the same time. Some interesting doublethink going on there, I guess. I don't know. Although that's weird, that scene when the guy almost hits the other guy in the head, and the Brigadier's like, now! Which gives the guy foreknowledge it's coming, so the thug can get out of the way, and instead has the Brigadier at gunpoint. It seems really dumb on the Brigadier's part. You shouldn't have screamed now. Just let your military guy hit him in the back of the head. Don't warn him. That part I was like... but some of the imagery in that looks good. Some of it looks weird. Just not choreographed the best. So it's a mixed bag, that scene. But I love the fact it's shot on film. I like the bad guys in this, the ones that are at the base. I like the fact you can already tell they're not just evil bad guys like, you know, twirly mustached, everyone must die, I like being evil. Because the fact that the one guy tells the thug guy, you know, try not to kill any of them if you can, you know, only kill them if you have to. And the fact the bomb they set at the end is not a bomb that, like, blows up the whole warehouse killing anybody. It just blows up the equipment. Like, they're purposely trying not to hurt the unit people unless they have to. So that automatically kind of clues you into the fact that maybe they're not evil bad people. They're the bad people who think they're the good people. Kind of like an Invasion of the Dinosaurs where they're bad people, but from their point of view, they're the good people. So it kind of comes across like that. And I like the fact that it only takes a couple little things to communicate that, and it completely changes the dynamic of the bad guys in this. Whereas, you know, to them, they're the good guys. That just that little line of don't shoot any of them unless you have to. And the fact that the bomb was just a small bomb to destroy the equipment, not something to blow up the whole warehouse, you know, killing everybody. I do like that. That invests me more in the story. I also enjoyed the cliffhanger. With the doctor walking into the room with the scientist, and the scientist pulls out a gun and it shoots to a close-up of the gun. That's a nice cliffhanger, especially since you don't expect it from this scientist. It's a good way to end the episode and leave you going, okay, I'm going to need some answers next week. The one scientist with the glasses that pulls the gun, I'm not too keen on that accent he's doing. It just feels like an actor putting on an accent. But other than that, it's fine. For the most part, I think it's cast really well. And again, this episode 1 looks really good. It's the best the story looks, I know. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. You know, 1 episode down, 6 more to go. Woo, but I'm happy to be able to rewatch it. I have been wanting to rewatch Ambassadors of Death. So it's off to a good start. So I want to know what you think of part 1 of Ambassadors of Death. Comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. And, I also want to give a shout out to Colin Coney, one, for sending me the DVD, which I appreciate. Also, he is one of my top tier patrons, so I appreciate his continued support, as I do the support of a couple of my other top tier patrons, Stephen Crane and Finn Perkins, and all of my other patrons as well. Flyattractor just moved up tiers recently. He moved from my $5 tier to my $10 tier, which I really appreciate. Flyattractor's also been a huge supporter of the channel. If you would like to support me on Patreon, there is a link to that down in the description below. You get to vote in polls and all sorts of fun stuff. I also have YouTube memberships available. I have a couple people who are members on that, like Shamrock and Christopher and Tardis Spider, actually, who also runs a really good Doctor Who YouTube channel. I also have a P.O. box down there if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, and a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.